Defense News. It's proudly sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union. If you're a member of our nation's armed forces, the Department of Defense, or if your family is, we'd be proud to serve you too.
On this episode of Defense News Weekly, the Congressional Medal of Honor Society hands out some medals of its own. We were there for the Citizen Honors Program Awards. Plus, on the floor at Global Force 2024, find out which systems companies are marketing to the U.S. military this spring. Can you say unmanned aerial systems 3 times fast? Also, troops get their hands on the next generation squad weapon. We have the unboxing video. And the British Army can wear beards now? I guess anything goes. I'm waiting for face tattoos. Finally, find out how a solar eclipse affected global strategy in World War II. Also, the Navy rolls out a plan to foster a culture of excellence. Hear what's in the plan to improve conditions for sailors. It's the latest in news and analysis from the Pentagon to the platoon, here on Defense News Weekly. Welcome back to Defense News Weekly. I'm Andrea Scott. The Congressional Medal of Honor Society is an organization built on heroism and defined by a select group of service members who have been granted the nation's highest medal for military valor. But they don't just receive accolades. Each year, the Society also doles them out to recognize everyday people who have exhibited heroism of their own via the Society's Citizen Honor Awards program. Recipients are celebrated with a gala and awards and recognized for their deeds. Held this year at the National Museum of the United States Army near Washington, D.C., the honorees included a young boy from Florida who saved someone from drowning in a swimming pool, a dad from Colorado who started an organization to teach trades to people with autism, and a civilian boat captain who aided the Coast Guard in rescuing residents of Lahaina, Hawaii during raging wildfires. In addition to attending the ceremony, we had the opportunity to speak with some of the honorees. Have a look.
Please be seated. Our program is about to begin.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 Congressional Medal of Honor Society Citizen Honors Award Dinner.
This evening, we are not just recounting tales of valor. We are defining what it means to be a hero in the most authentic sense.
Tonight's recognition reflects the extraordinary potential within each of us to make a meaningful difference in our communities. Like us, those we honor today weren't born exceptional, but in a moment of need, often at great personal risk, they transformed empathy and selflessness into a courageous act that serves as a source of inspiration to us all.
A hero is defined by their actions, by their willingness to sacrifice for the greater good, to stand up for what is right, even when faced with insurmountable odds.
Our honorees, like members of our military, remind us that acts of courage, selflessness, and service extend beyond the limits of culture, politics, or education and background. They represent the best of our communities and humanity, demonstrating that in our most dire moments, differences that would normally divide our society fade away, revealing underlying principles like unity, compassion, and responsibility forming the moral backbone of our shared society. We call our citizen honorees heroes because they embody the qualities we hope to inspire across our communities. The Medal of Honor recipient selected Danny Combs of Denver, Colorado, as the Service Act honoree for his profound impact on those living with autism, inspired by his son, Dylan. Danny started TACT, Teaching the Autism Community Trades, a pioneering initiative that provides authentic training leading to fulfilling careers. TACT has not only become the most successful training to employment program for the autism community in Colorado, but has also garnered national recognition, a testament to Danny's unwavering dedication and transformative power of his work. Danny's commitment to service extends beyond his work with TACT. As a member of the Air Force Reserve, he was recognized in the Pentagon's Profiles in Leadership. TACT and Danny's efforts have not only transformed the lives of individuals with autism, but have also brought the entire community together, with over 40 businesses actively hiring TACT graduates. They are not just creating opportunities, but also showcasing the beauty of neurodiversity and the equality of opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Congressional Medal of Honor Society is pleased to present the 2024 Citizen Honors Service Award to Danny Combs.
It's an incredible honor, getting that chance to spend time with the recipients of the Medal of Honor and listen to their stories, the way that they live their lives, their acts of valor and gallantry. They're incredible individuals, and to have them recognized for this award, it means a lot. I hope that they see a dad. I started all this for my son, Dylan, that recognizes that his children are everything, and would do anything for them. And I think that the actions of the men that have won the Medal of Honor model that. So it's very flattering to be here to receive the Citizen Award.
When Lahaina was a blazing inferno, Riley Kuhn led his family's Trilogy charter boats, typically used for snorkel excursions, across the reef and through the rocks to assist the Coast Guard in transporting people trying to escape the inferno by going into the water. Coast Guard crewmen boarded the vessels to rescue stranded civilians. Using 30 years of local knowledge and experience in those very waters, Riley led his team into harm's way with 80-mile-per-hour winds. The team shuttled over 50 people who were stranded inside the reef as flames engulfed their means of escape to the main charter. They were all instrumental in saving lives. Ladies and gentlemen, the Congressional Medal of Honor Society is pleased to present Riley Kuhn with the 2024 Citizen Honors Award for Valor.
After learning more about the different Congressional Medal of Honor recipients and hearing their stories, it's very humbling. It's also really inspiring because, like they say, they're just normal people who just had an extraordinary day. And it was pretty neat to see that, anybody could have an extraordinary day out there. So, when you see something, just do something. Just jump in where you can, help out. The big things, the little things, they all help.
Defense conferences often are an inside glimpse of the state of the future of the military. The systems companies are designing to meet the Pentagon's needs and the tech they're creating that will define battlefields to come. Defense News land warfare reporter Jen Judson was recently at the Association of the United States Army's Global Force Symposium in Huntsville, Alabama. Here's some of what she saw.
Visibility 1, fog.
Hi, it's Jen Judson, the land warfare reporter for Defense News, and I'm here at AOSA Global Force. I'm going to take a walk through the exhibit floor, so come along with me. The expo floor at Global Force is a lot smaller than at the Association of U.S. Army's annual expo in D.C. here in Huntsville, but there's still plenty to see. While companies typically don't bring the big guns and large vehicles, BAE Systems did bring an armored multipurpose vehicle to the show outfitted with an Elbit America 30mm gun turret to show off a new capability to swap turrets in and out quickly. Because the Army is very fixated on unmanned aircraft for a variety of missions and is signaling it wants to buy an abundance of them and as fast as possible, the showroom floor abounded with those. I spotted fixed-wing and quadcopter aircraft hanging from the ceiling all over, but also found some loitering munitions like these U-Vision ones that come in extra small, medium, and large. Textron brought its Aeroson platform, which is in a competition for the Army's new Future Tactical UAS. And here is a turret from Moog with a gun and a couple different launchers, plus a tethered quadcopter in the back. The Army recently completed a major experimental demonstration at Project Convergence in March that looked at how humans and machines can be integrated to fight effectively on the battlefield. At the demo, there's an octocopter that dropped munitions and other throwbots. I spotted an octocopter drone at Invariant's booth with its low-key capability that can emulate Javelin missile video and functionality. Also catching my eye at the show was Boeing and Saab's ground-launched small-diameter bomb, which was sent and used in Ukraine recently. Saab recently announced plans to grow its munition production here in the U.S. Earlier this week, I also took a trip to Fort Novosel, formerly known as Fort Rucker in southern Alabama, to the Army Aviation Center of Excellence, where I got an aerial look at the expansive training grounds for all Army helicopter pilots. The whole place consists of one Army airfield, Cairns, as well as 4 Army heliports, 15 stage fields, 60-plus remote training sites, 1 aerial gunnery range, and 1 Army radar approach control. Cairns is the largest and most active Army airfield in the U.S. The training area is 29,590 square miles, and out of 661,744 training flight hours, Fort Novosel has 223,554, or 36% of the hours flown total. There are 3,900 aircraft in the Army, with 518 at Fort Novosel, which is 13% of the fleet. In FY23, the Army trained over 18,619 students in 116 courses and 716 foreign students from 34 countries.
Don't go away. When we come back, the Navy puts out guidelines to foster a culture of excellence. And later, beards arrive in the British Army. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Defense News Weekly. The Navy recently embarked on a new push to improve the culture that sailors in today's sea service live and work in. Dubbed Culture of Excellence 2.0, it rolled out in March with lofty goals. Navy Times' Diana Stancy takes a look at the new program.
The Navy kicked off a new campaign this month to reframe Navy culture and provide leaders the right tools to understand their sailors better. The so-called Culture of Excellence 2.0 initiative aims to align several existing Navy programs and concepts and place them into a single resource to help command triads improve their culture. Past initiatives included in the Culture of Excellence 2.0 include the Mental Health Playbook, released in February 2023, that aims to promote mental health conversations between commanders and their sailors while reducing stigma associated with seeking help. New content released as part of the Culture of Excellence 2.0 includes a visual guide outlining what right looks like, as well as a playbook that details specifics on how leaders at every level can execute the campaign, providing information on suicide prevention, sexual assault prevention and response, and resilience, among other things. An initial Culture of Excellence campaign was released in 2019, complete with a set of videos, but Navy leaders say it didn't take off due to the COVID-19 pandemic and because it was too complex. As part of the rollout, Navy Admiral Brett Midas spoke about the program and goals for Navy leaders moving forward.
It's an integrated approach, so there's an executable framework for every command at every level. And I can talk more in detail about that, but at the high level, that's what it is. It's about how you build great culture in the Navy. Defining great culture is just the best work of your life alongside someone you trust and respect. The products that you see are not Navy instructions and policies. Those will come with time. But we wanted to communicate to our fleet where they are with products that will work for them and achieve the outcomes we desire. It's going to be persistent. It's going to be consistent. We're going to educate. We're going to help praise those who are showing day to day in their commands what it looks like. And we're going to bring this to life in a way that is as different as the material itself.
Next steps for Culture of Excellence 2.0 include releasing a Necessary Conversations Guide to help others understand those from different backgrounds and walks of life, and updating the Navy Leader Development Framework to include priorities outlined in the Culture of Excellence 2.0 placemat.
In military headlines, there's a lot to go over. Buckle up, this is going to go fast. First up, the British Army has lifted a more than 100-year ban on beards for troops. After consulting everyone from politicians to King Charles, the Army decided to allow the facial hair. Previously, only mustaches were allowed. The new allowance is already in effect, so troops can put down the razor, provided they keep their beard within regs. Britain now joins Denmark, Germany, and Belgium in the Bearded Forces Club in Europe. Also from England this week, the British Army says it'll celebrate the first of its next-generation main battle tanks rolling off the production line. We could sum it up for you, but let's just hear the Scottish soldier do it instead.
On the 18th of April, an event will be held to celebrate the first prototypes of our new main battle tank, the Challenger 3, coming off the production line at RBSL Telford. Challenger 3 is Defence's only fully digitised anti-armour capability. Its production provides skilled jobs in the UK and offers export opportunities.
Did you catch all that? What an accent. Now, on to the US. The Navy has announced that several of its top shipbuilding programs are 1 to 3 years behind schedule, as the service and industrial base grapple with workforce and management issues. Coupled with delays to Virginia-class attack submarine production and worries those delays might spill over to Columbia-class ballistic missile subs, the backlogs have caused concern. Changes to the supply chain with roots in the COVID-19 pandemic are partly to blame, Navy officials said, along with workforce shortages. The problems also impact the Navy's next nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the forthcoming Enterprise, which relies on the same suppliers and is expected to deliver around 2 years later than intended. Also from the Navy, photos have emerged showing that some Navy pilots have resurrected the practice of placing victory marks on the fuselages of their aircraft. The images showed up on fighter jets assigned to the carrier Dwight D. Eisenhower in the Middle East, where pilots and crews are conducting strikes against Houthi targets in the region. The practice dates back to World War II, when pilots started tracking kills on the sides of their planes. Navy vessels also used to track ships sunk with marks on their hulls. In the Air Force, for the first time in 4 years, the F-35 Lightning has been cleared to fly in Lightning. Since 2020, some of America's most premier fighter jets have been restricted from flying within 25 miles of Lightning, after a problem was found with the system designed to protect the planes from strikes. The problem only affected F-35As, not the B or C models. The Air Force said it lifted the restriction on March 19th. Now, onto the Army. Soldiers from the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, are the first Army unit equipped with the service's next-generation squad weapons. The troops received the weapons and got to do an unboxing event to check out their sleek new firearms. Images from the release showed soldiers taking the freshly delivered squad weapons from packaging and assembling them. Officially called the XM7, the rifle is slated to replace the M4 carbine, while the XM250 variant will replace the M249 squad automatic weapon. These weapons will drop the X nomenclature once they are fully fielded. The new weapons both utilize the 6.8mm round, replacing the 5.56 round used since Vietnam. Lackluster performance of the 5.56 round in Afghanistan gun battles spurred the study that led to the change. The new 6.8mm round has a longer effective range that provides more power against enemies wearing modern armor. When we return, our personal finance expert is back with her latest tips on watching out for financial scams. Stay with us. Welcome back. Phishing emails, fake investing tips, and other cons. On this episode of Money Minute, personal finance expert Jeanette Mack brings you advice on avoiding financial scams.
Unfortunately, financial fraud is something we all have to contend with. The good news, fraud cases slowed last year. But the reality is, if you're a victim of fraud, the losses can be devastating. So to keep yourself protected, you've got to remain as vigilant as ever and keep up with the latest trends in fraud scams, like phishing emails posing as legitimate financial institutions. While it's not a new tactic, the emails may be less detectable as an imposter. Also, look out for fake investment opportunities promising high returns in a short period. Ponzi schemes continue to resurface, luring investors with promises of guaranteed profits but no payoff, leaving many in financial ruin. Crypto scams are also on the rise, with fraudsters creating fake cryptocurrencies or exchanges to swindle investors. To protect yourself, be cautious of unsolicited offers. Call the bank or credit union yourself to verify the legitimacy of offers, and never click on links in emails or texts, or share personal or financial information online. Stay alert and informed, and you'll always stay one step ahead of scammers.
Thanks, Jeanette. We'll see you next week. To get more coverage of military and defense topics, stare down your sites and check out militarytimes.com and defensenews.com for more headlines. And to be the most up-to-date drill instructor screaming at the troops, sign up for our early bird brief, compiled each morning to bring you the most up-to-date headlines. And if social media is where you collect open source intelligence, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. And like most junior service members, we're on TikTok, so go find us there as well. Coming up, did you know a solar eclipse played a role in the war in the Pacific in World War II? You will if you stay with us after the break. Welcome back to Defense News Weekly. I'm Andrea Scott. With a solar eclipse transiting the United States, our staff of big military brains raised the question recently. Did you know an eclipse played a role in the Pacific theater in World War II? Well, indeed it did. And our own Pat Hansen was here to explain what went down.
How did an uninhabited Pacific island become the focus of no fewer than 3 powerful nations during World War II? And what does a solar eclipse have to do with it? It was June of 1937 when a prior eclipse was scheduled to cross the tiny atoll of Canton Island. To capture the event, the U.S. Navy teamed up with the National Geographic Society to bring a small team and some heavy-duty equipment to the island. After hauling 22,000 pounds of filming equipment from Washington, D.C. to the atoll via Honolulu, the 13-person team comprised of scientists, photographers, an NBC announcer, and one artist arrived at the tiny dot on the map, only to find there was someone already there. Britain had also laid claim to the island, sponsoring a New Zealand scientific expedition that mirrored the Americans. According to National Geographic, the two got off to a shaky start when the British contingent fired a shot across the bow of the American ship over a dispute about the most convenient anchoring spot. Each side wired their respective leaders on how to handle the dispute, and were told to play it cool. And the dueling missions turned into a friendly competition over which team could capture the better shot of the eclipse. Following the event, the Americans packed up and steamed home to look at their footage, but not before leaving a large concrete monument embedded with 2 American flags. That display would turn out to be consequential. The Japanese were about to start their march across the Pacific, and the pork-chop-shaped atoll was deemed perfectly situated for the Americans and their allies to refuel planes between Hawaii and Australia. It also offered proximity to the Japanese home islands. For those reasons, both the British and Americans still had interest in the island, and in August of 1937, Britain sent 2 officials to the barely habitable island to lay claim to it. The duo asked the Americans to remove their marker, but President Franklin D. Roosevelt doubled down and claimed the island, citing its past use by American whaling ships. Within days, he dispatched drums of water, 400 cans of poi, and 3 Hawaiian colonists to live there, according to National Geographic. On April 6, 1939, an agreement had been hashed out between the 2 nations, culminating in a 50-year joint control. But their presence, however, failed to escape the notice of the Japanese. Japan viewed Britain's tolerance of the U.S. encroachment as evidence of Anglo-American cooperation, despite the White House press secretary, Stephen Early, telling reporters that the agreement had nothing to do with war or war plans. This was a bald-faced lie. In January 1942, a U.S. Army and Air Force group called Task Force 942 arrived on Canton Island to build a runway, airfield, barracks, a hospital, and more. In addition to being a hub of Pacific air movement, Canton Island was used for anti-submarine searches, photographic reconnaissance, and bombing missions. In 1943, it became a major base for conquest of the Gilbert Islands. Altogether, a total of 30,000 Allied soldiers, sailors, and airmen were stationed there during World War II. But Canton saw no real combat during the war. A tug of war for a tiny uninhabited island that would play a major part in the biggest war ever waged on planet Earth had its root in an unconventional source, a solar eclipse. And there's your bit of military history for the week.
And that's all we have time for in this episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.